Pterodactyl here, and today I'm going to build me a tow vehicle for the shop out of this here tree wheel skag mower that I bought probably 5 years ago. Some guy bought a new mower and didn't want this anymore, so I bought it off him for 200 bucks. This is another mower. He had two mowers. The other mower was a three-wheel swisher mower, a little tiny swisher about 30 inch, and this. Now of course it had a deck on the front, but I sold some parts off of it and got rid of the deck. So for those of you that don't know how this mower works is, this thing pivots in the middle. I just got this plate under there to hold it. And over here, there was like a boat crank that had a cable that went to this platform. So you could crank up the front of the deck for like transporting, or if you wanted to get under there to maybe service the blades, or if you got something all wrapped up under there. But we're going to take this off. We don't need this. So what I'm going to do, since this thing pivots, is I'm going to mount a little hydraulic cylinder here with its own little pump. So I'll be able to hydraulically tilt this up and down. And then off the front here, where the deck used to be, I'm going to make some type of mount with the arm coming out. And then it'll have like a pin on it. We'll be able to get up underneath the hitch of a mower, and then by hitting the hydraulics, lift up the back end of it. So here's my little hydraulic setup that I've already got, which is over here. So this little hydraulic pump setup was from a John Deere AMT. And if you don't know what that is, that's a 5-wheel vehicle, AMT, all material transporter. It was like, you know, the predecessor to the Gator. Had one wheel in the front and 4 in the back, and it had a hydraulic dump bed on it. And this was the pump. So I had one of them where the bed and everything was all rotted out. So, but the pump was good, so I saved it. And then this cylinder is off of some kind of mower, I don't remember, that had some kind of hydraulic, probably deck lift. So I had to have a couple hoses made up. On the AMT, it used a cylinder that had a single port on it. And it would lift 1,000 pounds. It said it could dump 1,000 pounds if you could put it in the back of that AMT. So luckily this has got 2 ports on it and they're marked up and down. So I had to have these hoses made for this cylinder. And that's what we're going to use. And then I'll just put a switch on the dash, so you won't even have to get off the mower. You just pull right up to the back of a mower and hit the switch and pick up the back of the lawnmower. Isn't that cool? So I went out where I keep all my scrap steel, and I had a piece of this square tubing left over that was left over from when we made this gantry crane lift. And now let me tell you about this thing. We've been using this thing for a few months now, and this thing has really come in handy, boy. We've been lifting everything with it. So check out the video on that. So I'm going to take this here piece of 3x3 angle I got, and I'm going to mount it off the front of here. And then I made up some flat stock, so that way, if I want, I can take this off if I have to. And then of course I made it so it lines up with this, so if there's any down pressure, you know, it's pushing against the frame. And now I'm going to take this square tubing, and I'm going to weld it right in the middle. Now you can see there's a couple holes drilled in there. I'm also going to use this as a receiver hitch. So I can put a receiver in there with a ball on it in case I gotta push or pull a trailer around. Then I can just put the ball on there. And also, I could take the receiver out and I can weld one to maybe a snowplow. And I could put a snowplow on the front of this and plow snow with it when I'm not using it as a tow vehicle, or make any other option I want to mount on the front. And then I'm going to weld this piece of flat plate to the top, and then I'll weld a bolt sticking up. So that way when I get up underneath the hitch part of a lawn tractor, you know, it's not going to teeter. It's got a little bit of a platform to hold it. And then the bolt, of course, will go through the hole of the hitch. And that should work pretty good. And another thing I was thinking is make an adapter for the front, maybe with a little wheel on the front, so that way I can push a tractor too. Because you know, on these lawn tractors, the tires stick out past the frame of the tractor. So if you try to push a lawn tractor with something, say that had like a big board or something across the front, you're pushing against the tires and the tires are going to roll and rub. But you know, a lawn tractor got a plate in the center, so if I had something to cushion it where I don't scratch up the center of the customer's tractor, you know, a little bumper, a little wheel on it, we can push right in the center of it while somebody else steers it. You'll see as I build it. So let me get all this stuff welded up and mounted, and then we'll go from there. Oh, and another thing, I got to get this thing running. It's been sitting outside for 5 years. It ran when he dropped it off. So here's the top mount for my cylinder. This big bolt in there. So this will go in here like this. Made it out of a piece of angle iron and a piece of flat stock. So all I got to do is weld it together, and this will be the part that goes on the bottom. And I'll get everything welded up and put in place. Oh, money's here. So I got my toe mount built, and here it is, mounted on the front. And this is going to go in the hitch of the mower, and then this will kind of help stabilize it. This was the rod for engaging the mower deck, so I took that off. Don't need that anymore. And then I made all my brackets to mount the pump in the cylinder, and I'll show you that. So in order to make room for my pump, I want to use one of these bolt holes to mount the pump. So I had to cut off this deck engagement lever. We don't need it anyway, there's no deck on it. I jerked the deck off. So, had to cut all this off. And then here's my bracket for the cylinder. And I figured out a location, and that should be about right there. So I'll have to grind that paint off. And then I'm going to weld this on. And then this is the bracket for the other end of the cylinder. And that I'm going to bolt up under here. So I got to get under there with my angle drill and drill and tap me some holes in that piece of plate that's underneath there. And then this is my pump mount that the pump's going to mount to. So since I'm only using one hole, you know, I don't want this thing to turn on me, so I welded a little piece of key stock. And that'll rest up here on this ledge, like that. Now if you notice this engine, this Crawler Magnum 20, you know, you could mount this thing horizontally and vertically, look. Just like that Briggs engine I did on that power trowel. That's got those mounts, so that's what I'm going to use this for. That's going to mount the pump right there. And then we'll hook some juice to it, and we'll see if this thing will raise and lower, and we'll bring in a tractor and see if it'll pick it up. So let me get all the pump and cylinder and everything all mounted and get those holes drilled and tapped. And all right, we'll put our cylinder bracket on. I'll probably just drill a hole in this bolt and put a cotter pin, a welcome back. You know what that a welcome back is? It's a welcome back cotter pin. And we'll get our bolt in down here. Alright, now I'm ready to weld this in position right there. Okay, let's hook some juice to it and see if it'll work. Alright, if you notice, in the front, I got it where it's not touching the ground, but it's low enough so we can get it under a tractor. We'll bring a tractor in and see if it'll lift it. Woo! Lift it up! Yeah, baby! It done lifted up. That's all we need. We only need it off the ground that much, see? That's why I got that little extension on there. I could probably weld some key stock to it so it'll even hold it because it's resting on the head of the bolt. So maybe I'll weld a couple pieces of key stock on there. That'll help steady it a little more. Now I need to get me a 3-position switch that I got to mount up here. Where the middle would be off, and then push it one way to raise it, push it the other way to lower it, a momentary switch. Or a top momentary toggle switch, 3-way. And then of course we got to get it running. Got to put battery in it, see if this thing will start. You know, we'll do some other stuff. Put a new seat on it, you know. Kind of fix it up a little bit, but at least it works. Raised it up. Well, all of a sudden that pump stopped working electrically. And I found that this connection on the motor, if I wiggled it and found a sweet spot, it'd start working again. So I goobered it up with our HV350 because this stuff, it hardens up good like plastic. I didn't want to use silicone because silicone is kind of rubbery. Well, this will harden up. It's almost like a liquid plastic, and you can get this at our web store. And a little tube gripper. And then I also noticed that there was a little bit of hydraulic fluid leaking from the bottom. So, since I had to fix the motor, I took this reservoir off and found that there was a crack in here. So I fixed that with the putty, doing my trick with the soldering iron. Works really good. So I kind of melted the crack together, and then I went around and I put little divots with the soldering iron. And I also did it on the inside, melted the crack together a little bit, and then I put a series of divots with the soldering iron So that way when you squish the putty in there, the putty goes in those little divots. It kind of gives it enough tooth to grab onto. Like if I put that Taryl putty on my teeth right now, it would hold on good. But if you got straight teeth, they'd probably just slip off. And I know what you're thinking. Well, why didn't you put the Taryl putty on there then, Taryl? Why did you use this? Well, this is metal and it's smooth. So there's really nothing for the putty to really grip to, where the glue is going to grip to this better. So now I got to let this sit and harden up. Usually takes about 24 hours. So the pump's off, and I just rigged up a turnbuckle on there to hold it together from pivoting while we move on. So I went ahead and welded some 1/4 inch, might even be bigger, looks like maybe 5/16 key stock on here to kind of help steady it. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably looking at that wheel thinking, what's that wheel for? Or maybe you're not thinking that. Maybe you're arguing with your wife right now. Maybe she's yelling at you. You watching that hillbilly again? Turn that hillbilly off. Look at that wheel, huh? Why is that wheel there? It's perplexing. Why did he weld that wheel back there? So I can put it up here. Because a lot of times, we don't need to tow a tractor. We may need just to push it. You know, it may be too hard to push. The reason I want to pick them up sometimes is might have flat tires. And we have to pick it up so we can get it in the shop, fix the tires, or maybe the hydraulics are locked on it. You know, them zero turns, they're kind of hard to push around sometimes, especially when you release the pumps and they're still hard to push. So, you know, we may want to pick it up and tow it. And then when I used to use Snowzilla, you know, we hooked to the back of it to tow, to pull stuff in. Well, what happens when we get in the shop? We got the tractor behind us. We have to disengage it from Snowzilla. Now Snowzilla's in here. And then the tractor's in here too. So it was like trapped. This way is better. Now we can push it into the shop. And then we can unhook from it and drive off. And then the tractor's in the shop because we pushed it in with this. You're still thinking, what's that wheel for, Taryl? What's that wheel for? Alright. As you can see, as I mentioned before with these tractors, when you try to push these tractors, say with like a snow blade, you're pushing against these tires. And then everything's skidding in that because the tires stick past the frame of the tractor. Well, that's what the wheel's for. So we don't scratch up the back of the customer's tractor. We got some rubber here. We don't want to scratch it up with that. So we can push it with that wheel. And then when we need to fix something up or tow it, you know, we can put the wheel there. So that's just a little storing place. And then I had to weld a little piece of angle iron inside the square tubing to take up some of the space. And there's my receiver. I got my receiver now. In case we need to move the trailer. If we got a trailer we got to move around, we can put a receiver in there. Now I'm sure I'll come up as time goes on with more stuff. So another thing we noticed is when we did pick up this tractor, the behind of it, its butt was light. So we need some counterweight. Now granted, you're going to have somebody sitting on it, but if they get off, depending on how heavy it is, it's going to raise it up. So I need to add a counterweight to the back. So, got a hold of Elkskins, and Elkskins said, I got a big old weight you can have, Taryl. I don't know where I got it from, but you can have it. So he brought me in this weight. It weighs 65 pounds, I weighed it. So counterweight way off the back of here. So there's already a hole drilled in this frame. So I thought, you know, give me a piece of flat stock and I'll bolt this to there. Bolt this on. Then I can always take it off if I need to. And then Elkskins also gave me, this is an axle from something. It's got holes drilled in it. So I just cut this in half. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these to this plate at that spacing. And then I'll weld the washer on there so the plate can't slide back and hit the tire. And then I can put a couple of quick pins in there. So in case I ever want to take that weight off, I could slide it off. So that should be enough weight. Oh, and another thing, I'm going to put new boots on it. And I'm going to put some snow boots on it. In case we got to use this thing in the wintertime. So what I'll do is I'll fill this tire with some RV antifreeze. And that'll add some weight too to the back. So we'll fill the tire with antifreeze and we'll have this weight. And that should take care of any kind of weight problem. And then you got the operator on it. So it should be able to pick up quite a bit without tipping forward. So now let's concentrate on getting it running. Start it up, start it up, start it up. Alright, first thing we got to do is get rid of this old battery. I think it's from 2010. I think that's a 10. So that's probably from 2010, this battery. Like I said, I bought this thing 5 years ago and it ran when I parked it. And then always sand your connections. Clean them up. You won't believe how many times I put a new battery in it. Well, look at the terminals. Did you clean them? Bro, you have to do that? You have to clean the terminals? And I'm using stainless. Because this thing's going to be spending most of its time outside. So I'm using stainless hardware. And now, you know it ain't gonna start. This thing was sitting out in the rain and snow. Make sure they're tight. That's another thing I see. Like, what are you? Got no strength? Can't tighten two little nuts? Alright, let's see what happens. Let's see if it'll crank. Whoa! Well. Hey, I'm surprised. That starter sounds like it needs a little lubrication. Some gel lube that you can get at our store. Alright, so now the Bendix is up. You don't want to spray any kind of lube on this rubber part here, because that's the friction part. We just want to get it on the shafts and down here in the bearing. The bearing part. Let's see what happens. I kick down. All right. Check the oil. Look at the oil. Looks brand new. The guy must have just changed it. I better change the oil before I sell this Taryl. I wonder if we got any spark. Like I said, this thing is sitting outside. Who knows? Might be a bunch of water in here. Oh, look at this nut. Got rubber on it. Oh, and it's got the rubber spacers in here, so that helped. Oh, look, nice and clean down in there. So yeah, this is important on your crawlers. Have that rubber in there. That helps keep water and stuff out. So, hit it with a little carb spray and see if it'll lick off. As soon as I find a can of carb spray around here. Here's some. I wonder if the throttle and the choke works. Well, throttle's frozen. Ugh. Oh, that wants to move a little. That's a good sign. Just got to free up the choke and the throttle. Now this Skag, this 3-wheel Skag, this is gear driven. This one's got gears. They also made this hydro. They also made a hydro version of this, where you just push the pedal to go forward and back. But this is a gear drive. So it works just like, you know, your lawn tractor. You got to push this clutch in, make the belt under there loose, put it in gear, and then let the clutch out. Somebody put a piece of 2x4 on here. They must have had little feet. They must have had little tiny feet. See, try spraying some lube on the outside of these cables. Well, this got plastic on it? Oh yeah, that ain't gonna work. They're all plastic coated. Might have to put new cables on. Fuel line. That's all hard as a carp. So I'll probably go ahead and replace all the fuel line. Put some dinosaur juice in it and see what happens. Well, this shutoff valve is stuck, so I'm just going to put a new one in. And a new bushing. In case for those of you that don't know, this is a tank bushing. We did a video on a tank, how I repaired a fuel tank that had a nipple that was molded into the tank and it was cut off, and I showed how you drill a hole and put this bushing in there. In the comments, people, that ain't gonna work, that thing's gonna leak, that thing's crap. Yeah, well look, that one's in there. They put them on everything. That's what it's made for, gas tanks. And then I'm gonna put, and this part number is 7730 from Rotary. They all make them, Oregon makes them, STENS makes them, I don't know their numbers offhand. And then here's that shutoff valve. And this is a STENS one, 120, 253. And I got me a new fuel filter. I'm gonna use a Briggs filter on it. These non-directional ones. So you just gotta dig this old one out. There we go. Oh yeah, that thing's wasted. All right. I'll go ahead and get all the rest of the water out of it. Put a new gas cap on it. And then I'll show you how to install that bushing. So it's pretty simple. Just drop the new bushing in there. That ain't gonna work. I like how in the video comments of that video with the gas tank, they were telling me this isn't gonna work. And I'm thinking, well, where did they think I got that bushing in that gas valve? They think I made it? It's a manufactured part for this. All right, spray a little lube on it. Gel lube. There I am. And then just push it in. Pop it right in. Easy peasy. Alright, now we reinstall the tank and hook up the new fuel line I ran and put some dinosaur juice in it. Alright, I'm going to put a new gas cap on it because this other one with the little gauge on it, it done fall apart. And this is an Oregon 07309. And look at Oregon even gives you the STENS and the Rotary number, which I can't see. I think it's 8935 and 125384. And it's actually a MTD gas cap. 751311. But this cap fits a lot of different tractors. It'll fit this Craftsman, which was made by AYP. This cap will fit that one too. Just so you know. And I was able to get the choke. That gel loop's wonderful. I pulled on it, pushed on it, worked it back and forth, kept spraying it, and I got the throttle to move. But the knob's missing. Looks like somebody put something on there. Unless that was the original, no, yeah, that was the original knob. Some kind of weird plastic that fell apart. So I got a trick for this too. Or as some of you call them, a hack. I got a hack. We did a video, somewhere there's a video showing me doing this. Oh, that's too big. Let me get a smaller one. Alright, the red one worked. I had to grind it down a little bit. Normally I don't have to do that. I usually just find a wire nut that fits on there. Sometimes I got to use that big blue one. And I like the red ones that don't have these wings on it, but that's not bad. Alright. Let's see if we can get it to run on its own. I'm going to have to help it at first. I hope this fuel pump's good, otherwise I'm going to have to do my fuel pump trick. Only a couple woo-woos. Usually get that lucky. Usually got to rebuild the carburetor, but we got it to lick off. Not running real good, but it's running. I try to tune this carburetor a little bit. I got a screwdriver. This is the low speed here. Open that one. Let me see where this one's at. That one was a little bit more than one. That's got a little tiny slot in there. I need to get a good screwdriver to fit in there. I think this thing's only running on one cylinder. I'll put a new set of plugs in it. So this takes an RV17YC, this old Magnum opposed twin crawler. It was running on both cylinders because both spark plugs were hot. Burned my hands on them. And then I always like to put a little never seize on them, on the threads. I know a lot of y'all like to do that too. This one's a little tricky to get in. So it's probably just a carburetor. Probably gonna have to take it off and clean it. But I want to see if it's gonna drive before I get too deep into it. Oh, birdie's chirping. Got baby birds out there. Mommy must be there feeding them. That's the only time they make noise, when she shows up. Some worms. I'll mess with that carburetor later. I gotta see if this thing drives. Can't do nothing else till I get my cylinder hooked back up, and I gotta get my switch. I don't have my 3-position switch yet. But at least we know it runs and drives. And then I'll make my counterweight. Alright, well, at least we know it works, so still got a lot to do. I gotta get these tires ordered up. Gotta find me a seat. I also want to build some kind of cover. Since this is going to be sitting outside, I want to cover the gas tank and that reservoir, that hydraulic part. I don't want that getting ruined by the weather. And so,
Buddy! I'm Wendy!
Oh, great.
Hey, how you doing, Taryl?
Good.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. What do you want?
Oh, I just want to see what you were doing.
I'm building me a tow vehicle. Well, a push vehicle. Well,
oh, look at this thing. Wow.
it's like a tow and a push vehicle.
Oh, yeah, what's it gonna do?
It's gonna tow and push lawnmowers.
Oh, wow. I never heard anything like that before, Taryl.
Yeah, because I'm making one.
That's awesome.
And I might need your help right now.
Oh, you need me to do something?
Yeah, there's a tractor that we're using in the video, and we need to push it back out in the yard, and you gotta sit on it while I push it with this.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna get hurt or anything, am I?
No, you're just gonna be sitting on the tractor, and I'm gonna push you real slow.
Oh, okay. Well, I fell off a bar stool last week and I got hurt.
How do you fall off a bar stool?
I was just trying to move it out the way and I fell off.
Were you drinking?
I was drinking a beer, but I didn't spill it.
What kind of beer were you drinking?
Coors Delight.
All right, well, get on the tractor.
Oh, okay.
You haven't been drinking now, have you?
No, just coffee. Just coffee.
All right, get on the tractor or we're going to push you out of here.
And then I can get a bottle of water.
Yeah, and you can get a bottle of water for
Maybe
doing
some
it.
Chippos.
Yeah, and some Chippos.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, where's this tractor? Think that maybe I can drive it?
I don't think so, Andy. You can't even sit on a bar stool without falling off. This thing is like a carnival ride, though. You put it in a higher gear and try to do that, it'll fling you off of here. So tune in for part 2 when we do the rest of this tow vehicle. It worked really well. I'm surprised how good it worked. I'm happy with it. And as always, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Go to our web store, buy some of them products we showed you in the video. And as always, and as usual, there's your dinner. Woo!